Hi there, I'm Joel Gershman, co-founder of Digital Autopilot. I'm excited to share this video with you. This is a segment taken from our e-commerce growth engine course on how to drive more traffic, conversions, and profit from your e-commerce business. To access the full course, click on the link in the description below or subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Really hope you enjoy. Hi, and welcome back to Module 2, Strategic Direction. Now, in this video, we're going to be exploring your brand strategy. Now, you've defined your target market and you've identified your differentiators. That's great. But now it's time to take your strategic direction to another level by developing your brand. And if you get this right, this could be an absolute game changer in terms of your e-commerce sales. Let's begin the process together. So we're going to be exploring a few things in this video. First of all, we're going to look at this question, what is branding? You see, people have different ideas about this and they often get this dead wrong. So we're going to try and clarify that together. We're also going to look at this idea of brand archetypes, more on that soon. And finally, we're going to look at 6 really practical steps of brand strategy that you can implement immediately. Let's begin the process. So look, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't call myself a Hollywood film buff, and I definitely don't follow the Instagram feeds of any movie stars, but there is one star who I do secretly admire. Yep, Tom Hanks. Sure, he doesn't have the sophisticated good looks of, George Clooney. He doesn't have the action movie physique of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Nor does he have the suave Bond-esque style of Sean Connery. He doesn't have the elegant presence of Cate Blanchett, and he doesn't have the laugh-out-loud humor of Adam Sandler. But here's what he does have. He has a genuine, sincere kindness about him. Put simply, he just seems like a good, honest guy. Now, that may not seem like such an impressive quality at first glance, but in the often narcissistic and sometimes, let's be honest, downright self-destructive world of Hollywood, it stands out like, a shag on a rock. I've always wanted to know what that phrase means, so I looked it up, and apparently a shag is a kind of bird that stands out against a rock face. Anyway, the point is that being nice actually stands out in Hollywood. And in case you think that might just be his movie persona and not his real personality, well, this New York Times article that you can see here suggests that he's widely considered the nicest guy in Hollywood. But look, let's back up for a minute. Why am I telling you this? And what on earth does this have to do with branding? You see, we all should know that to attract customers who are willing to pay premium prices for our products or services, we really need to differentiate our business in some meaningful way, right? We need to stand out by being unique, different, and better in some relevant respect. And if we're not, why should anyone buy from us over the competition? And this is critical for any business, but especially for e-commerce businesses who often rely on their website to do the really heavy lifting in terms of converting prospects into customers. And if their site doesn't clearly convey why someone should buy their product over others, they're dead in the water. Right? Low conversion rates lead to expensive advertising, which equals meager profits. Right? So it's a pretty simple formula. And that's why the best businesses craft a compelling differentiation strategy. And here's what that means. And you may be familiar with this from the previous video, right? It means, number one, being crystal clear on your target market, right? Who are your customers? What are the demographic and psychographic profiles? That's step one. And hopefully you've already clarified this. Then they need to understand their needs. What do they care about, right? What drives them? What bothers them? That's number two. Then they need to work out which of those needs they're going to differentiate around, right? Which needs can you meet better than anyone else? Are you the fastest, safest, most highest quality, most reliable, most fun, etc.? And then finally, number 4, we need to back up our differentiators with some evidence, right? How are you going to justify your differentiation claims? Is it through online reviews, money back guarantees, celebrity endorsements, and so on? Now, if you've answered those 4 questions for your business, right, and the answers are reflected properly in your marketing and on your website, you're well on your way to standing out from the crowd. But let me let you in on a little secret. Boosting your conversion rate, especially for e-commerce businesses, actually requires an extra step. Have you noticed that there are some brands with which you connect more than others, right? Perhaps you feel a certain affinity, maybe even a loyalty that you just can't explain. Often it's because they're using another type of differentiator, one that has nothing to do with their product quality, performance, money back guarantee, or any other specific feature or benefit that they offer. At the risk of sounding overly dramatic, they've managed to hack your mind by leveraging what's called the science of brand archetypes. Right? Let's explain. You see, we all have a set of basic human drives that motivate our behavior, right? Including liberation, power, mastery, intimacy, enjoyment, belonging, service, control, innovation, safety, understanding, and freedom. These are really basic human drives. And the interesting point is, because we're all different, each of us is motivated more by some of these drives than by others. So I might be driven more by belonging, while you might be driven more by mastery, for example. Now, stay with me here because this is critical, right? Personality types will appeal more to us if they align with our core drives. For example, if safety is extremely important to me, I might resonate more with an honest, innocent, kind personality type rather than, say, an adventurous, powerful, or controlling one. Right? On the other hand, if I'm into liberation and freedom, I might be drawn to a more carefree, free-spirited kind of personality. Now, what does this all mean for marketing? Well, it means this, that if you want to resonate with your target market, your brand needs to embody a personality, so to speak, that aligns with their unique drives. And when you do, what'll happen is you won't just be a commodity. You'll actually create a far deeper connection with your customers. So in fact, this is what I would call the heart and the secret of real branding, right? Branding isn't about your logo or color scheme or your website design, right? Those are important expressions, so to speak, of your brand, but your brand itself runs much deeper. It's about who you are. It's your personality. It's how you think, feel, and act, which is why the best brands in the world, the ones that, elicit fanatical brand loyalty, embody a distinct personality that truly resonates with their target market. And that's precisely where the concept of brand archetypes comes in. Let's explore this together. Have you ever heard of the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung? He was a one-time student of Sigmund Freud. I believe they had a falling out at some stage in their careers, but he was one of his primary students. And in his theory of the human psyche, Jung identified 12 universal personality archetypes that reside in what he calls our collective unconscious, and they reflect the range of basic human drives that are common to all of us. For example, it's interesting to note and critical for marketers that each of us tends to have one brand archetype that dominates our personality. And what that means is that if your business can tap into the archetype that best resonates with the drive and personality of your target market, what's going to happen is you'll actually build a far deeper level of connection. And that's why Mark and Carol Pearson, in their bestseller, The Hero and the Outlaw, Um, they explain that archetypes are the heartbeat of a brand because they convey a meaning that make customers relate to a product as if it were actually alive in some way. They have a relationship with it and they care about it. That's extremely powerful. And drawing on Jung's research, here's a diagram depicting these 12 archetypes and the basic human drives they reflect. Have a look at it and ask yourself, which archetype resonates most with you personally? We're actually going to explore a few of these archetypes together with some illustrations to bring them to life. Let's begin. Let's start with the jester archetype, for example. Now, the jester is driven by experiencing pleasure, enjoyment, and fun. They want to have a great time and they want to lighten others up too, which is why you'll find them playing, joking around, and generally, being funny. Think Jim Carrey, for example, or Adam Sandler. And what's powerful about this particular personality or persona from a branding perspective is that even if you're not a full-blown jester personality yourself, everyone likes to laugh. So if you're in the entertainment business or you want to associate your brand with fun and good times, the jester personality can be a really memorable point of differentiation. By way of example, from a business perspective, think of Old Spice. If you've ever seen their commercials, you'll know exactly what I mean. Or the Dollar Shave Club. Right? Again, you can see the jest in there. This is for shaving cream, and this boy's received it for Christmas. Clearly not a gift that he appreciates. And then, of course, there's Bundaberg Rum. If you've ever seen their ads, again, you'll know that they are into fun and good times and joking around. In fact, the very first Dollar Shave Club video ad was so funny that it went viral. If you want to check it out, just go to this YouTube link and you'll see it. Let's have a look at the next, another example, and that is the creator archetype. This one's sometimes also called the artist. And the creator's desire is to innovate. They want to create something of value that just didn't exist previously. They have this deep need to express their unique talent in order to bring a vision to life. Think, for example, of the artist, or the artistic genius, rather, Mozart, as portrayed in Amadeus, as an example. Or if you prefer, Master Tinkerer Tony Stark from Iron Man, another great example of the creator archetype. Or going back even further, a bit of a classic, the inventor Emmett Brown, affectionately known as Doc from Back to the Future. Now, this archetype is really popular among art, design, technology, and marketing brands. Their products and services really empower their customers to be creative. They foster their imagination and self-expression by celebrating the creative process. By way of example, brands like Apple, Lego, and Adobe, right, are really great expressions of this. Have a look at this Lego ad, for example, all about rebuilding the world, all about creation. If you haven't ever watched the ad that launched Apple's classic Think Different campaign, it's a great way to start to really understand what this archetype is all about. You've got the link there for you. Check out the Legos Inspire Imagination commercial as well, because again, it's a great example of this creator archetype. Let's look at another one, and that is the everyman archetype, or every person, to be more accurate. This personality has a deep desire to belong. They don't seek attention. They're not trying to stand out. They're just friendly, honest, humble, relatable, genuine people who want to be part of the group like everyone else. And in wanting to get along with others, they treat everyone with dignity and respect. Think IKEA, for example, as a great illustration of this. Or Levi's, again, let the average be divine. And of course, by the way, this is where Tom Hanks comes in. he embodies the all-round nice guy persona. He's like the person next door you can really rely on, you can talk to, you can trust to have your back. This archetype is often used by brands that relate to everyday activities like home or family life. And through honest, humble, friendly, and down-to-earth communication that doesn't exclude, these brands can make people feel a sense of belonging and acceptance. Again, this Levi's ad is a great example of that. Another great example is Target, which, as you can see here in their everyday collection, is all about how everyday, ordinary people buying ordinary products can feel, normal, maybe even more than, maybe a little bit extraordinary. And again, if you want a great ad to check out the latest IKEA ad. This is a link to it here, and one of their key lines is it's a space where everyone can be themselves. Again, appealing to that everyman or every person archetype. So those are three more in-depth examples, but let's briefly run through some of the other archetypes. So starting up the top here, the innocent personality craves safety, right? They're a positive, honest, pure personality with an optimistic outlook on life. They want themselves and everyone else to be happy. They don't hold grudges, and they can see the beauty in everyone. Think, for example, Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. And Dove, as you can see here, is a brand that powerfully embodies this personality. Keeping on moving, we've got the sage archetype or personality. The sage seeks knowledge, truth, wisdom. They want to understand the world and share that understanding with others. Think Yoda from Star Wars, or an information-rich brand like the BBC, for instance. Then there's the explorer archetype. They seek the freedom to find out who they are by exploring the world. They've got this deep desire to push themselves out of their comfort zones into the rugged environment. They're brave, adventurous, and they love a challenge. But the challenges are more about self-understanding and discovery. Think Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones, for example, or the iconic outdoor brand Patagonia. Then there's the outlaw archetype, sometimes called the rebel, and they desire liberation, freedom, sometimes even revolution. They hate rules, regulation, and conformity, especially if it constrains their free choice. Think of James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause as like the classic outlaw archetype. And a brand that embodies this is none other than Harley Davidson. Keep on going. We've got the magician archetype. Magician desires power, but not power for its own sake. It's the power to make dreams come true, often through mystical means. They like taking people on a journey of transformation through some sort of magical experience. Think Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, or from a business perspective, Disney is a great example of this. Then there's the hero archetype. And they desire mastery of some skill or area in order to improve the world in some way. And they're willing to prove their worth through courage, determination, and hard work, even in the face of challenges. Think Superman, or any Marvel hero for that matter. And Nike is a great example of a brand that embodies this archetype perfectly. Then there's the lover archetype. And they desire intimacy and closeness. They want to be loved by those around them, and they'll use the means they have to achieve it. Think Marilyn Monroe, or from a business perspective, Victoria's Secret is a good example. Then we're going to skip over the jester and everyman, which we've looked at, and look at the caregiver. And they want to serve, they want to protect, they want to care for others selflessly, especially those in need. Think, for example, of Robin Williams in Patch Adams, if you've ever seen that movie, or Tom's Shoes is a great example of, from a business branding perspective, because they're not just about shoes, they're about helping people in need. And then we've got the ruler personality, and the ruler personality desires control. They're often a dominant, confident, authoritative personality, and can even be intimidating. They want prosperity and success. They see themselves as being at the top of the food chain and will defend that position. Think Marlon Brando in The Godfather as a great example, or Rolex watches from a business branding perspective. So there you have it. Those are the brand archetypes. Now, the task for you is to map your own archetype. How do we do that? So it's not enough to simply choose an archetype. You'll actually need to map out the full breadth of your brand personality with a really clear outlook on life, beliefs about the world, unique tone of voice, visual identity, and so on, right? You see, only the creation of that kind of full-fledged personality will enable you to build connection with the authenticity and humanity of a real person like you or me. So let's start. So number one is clarifying your brand archetype, right? So considering your target market and what drives them, which archetype would resonate most strongly with them? And to help you bring this to life, see if you can identify which Hollywood actor best embodies your personality. That's step one. Step two is your brand purpose. So this is asking you, why is your brand in existence? What impact do you want to have on your customers and the world? Clarifying your why is critical to helping people understand your brand's underlying mission. You see, when customers feel that your brand is about more than simply making money, when they feel that it aligns with a more meaningful purpose, you're much more likely to foster, a deep loyalty and connection. People want to align with brands that stand for something, that means something to them. So what's your brand purpose? It's number two. And you can see here, by way of example, this is Patagonia, and they have a very, very clear, powerful brand purpose. Their brand purpose is to save our home planet. And everything they do, everything they sell, the kind of products they sell, all align to that underlying purpose. And many people feel strongly about them as a result of that. Number three is your brand values. So this is asking you the question, what attitudes and behaviors will underpin how you operate? How will your brand think and act with customers and even within your own business? Right? Values act a bit like a compass guiding your brand towards its purpose, and they help customers understand what to expect when interacting with you. And when you act in alignment with those values, it starts to build trust and brand advocacy. Again, using Patagonia as an example, they've got a number of really clear brand values. One being building the best product. Two is causing no unnecessary harm, especially to the environment. Three is using the business to protect nature. And four is not being bound by convention, right? Being willing to do things in innovative new ways. That's just an example for you. Let's have a look at the next key component, number four, and this is about brand voice. So this is asking, what tone of voice, what language will you use to communicate with your target market, right? Considering the archetype that resonates best with your customers, what kind of tone and words would best express that personality? You see, your communication style is key to an authentic, aligned brand personality. By way of example, take the skincare brand called Go-To. Right? They align with the innocent archetype that we talked about earlier. They're all about simplicity, and their range of go-to products have done away with complicated ingredients that no one can actually pronounce. But it's not just their approach to skincare that differentiates them. It's actually their brand voice and personality. And their brand voice, as you'll see in a second, is witty, it's funny, it's down to earth. Unlike the big players in the skincare industry, Go-To is not afraid to be even a little bit silly, a little bit quirky. And it's this unique voice and personality that has helped them stand out and build a really loyal following. For example, what you'll see here, what they do is they send 2 emails post-purchase, one to confirm the order and another when it's shipped with a tracking number, as many e-commerce businesses do, of course. But check out the copy in the email messages. So just to read it to you, this is an email from your school to say they want you back to speak to the current students because you were the finest and most impressive student they ever had the good fortune to host. Just kidding. We all know you were raised by a family of Tasmanian devils and didn't attend school. But seriously, it's actually an email confirming your go-to skincare order. Here's the important bit, and then they provide your number. And then again, quick, memorize this order number. Ha ha, as if. No one can memorize things like that. Well, no, to be fair, some people can memorize entire phone books, but the joke is on them because no one even uses phone books anymore. And so on. That's just an example of their style. And if you go to their website, you'll see this brand personality reflected right throughout the copy on their website. So that's number 4. Number 5 of 6 is visual identity. So this is asking how will your typography, your logo, your color palette, your image style, and graphic design give expression to that brand personality. This is where you translate a theoretical personality into something really tangible, something visual. And again, alignment is key to creating a real, believable persona. Just to use go-to again as an example, notice their visual identity, their limited color palette, minimal designs, uncomplicated product line, and easy to understand copy all speak to this idea of simple is better, which aligns with that whole innocent archetype. Again, very, very deliberate strategy. Finally, number 6 is your brand messaging and story. This is where you ask the question, what are you going to say to ensure your target market understands your persona and positions your brand correctly in their mind? And how might you express this in an engaging story? I'm not sure if you're aware, but one of the most powerful story frameworks was, and it's a framework that is used right across the most famous engaging stories in human history, from biblical Moses to Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. And it's called the hero's journey. It was developed by Joseph Campbell in his book called The Hero's Journey. And what he explained is that the most engaging stories follow a certain narrative. It starts in what he calls the existing world. This is where you ask the question, how they, your target market, live their lives right now. And then it moves to some sort of obstacle. What's the problem that your target market is currently facing, or problems, if there are many of them? And then there needs to be a call to action. And in the movies, there's often some sort of final straw that creates or causes action. What's the final straw for your customers? And then there's a guide, right? Who's going to help them take that step, right, to deal with their obstacle? In your case, that's obviously you. And then there's often a challenge. What will stand in the way of their success, right? What are the blockers? And then finally, there's the transformation phase. And that's all about how they'll change through success. And if you can articulate the hero's journey or the customer's journey in a powerful way, it's a really great way of expressing your key messages. Just to give you an example of that, again, to use go-to one more time, they articulate the hero's journey for one of their product lines, again, in their characteristic brand voice. So you can see here it says, I've had the worst skin for the last decade, right, which is their existing world and it's their current problem. But then go-to happened, right? They're the guide that's leading them out of their current situation. Properly clean is not a foam cleanser. It's a mousse, you goose. The difference, foaming cleansers are made with nasty synthetic ingredients, while the fluffy texture of a mousse cleanser is created manually with a pump. And then they go on to say what a mousse is. A mousse is, silky soft. It's suitable for all skin types. It's super effective and super gentle, right? the largest of all deer species. Wait, scratch that last one. Different moose, again, them being funny. But what they're showing here is the transformation, right? We started out with bad skin, then in comes the brand, and in particular, the properly clean, right, which is a moose cleanser. And that will be super effective for your skin and ultimately lead you towards, the promised land, so to speak. Hopefully that makes sense. And now it's time to really put it all into work. Once you've mapped out your personality in detail, you really need to put it to work. And we do that by applying those 6 points that we just worked through to every touch point in your customer journey. So from your website and packaging to your social media to your sales process, literally every interaction a customer has with you should feel that brand personality coming through. Now, often people start and end, by the way, their branding with these components. But as you can see, they're actually the last step in the process, and they should give full expression to a clear, authentic personality that deeply resonates with your target market. And when you do that, you're going to be much more likely to build customer connection, loyalty, and of course, sales. And by the way, in case you're wondering which brand personality digital autopilot aligns with, well, we're actually hell-bent on supporting the average Aussie business owner who's just trying to grow their business and sustain themselves and their family. And we do it with down-to-earth honesty and genuine care, which means we're here for every man, or every business, if you want to be more accurate, just like Tom Hanks, which perhaps is why I like him so much. Here are your next steps to apply this to your business. So, number one, following those 6 steps, map out your brand archetype, right? Go through each of those components. 2, make sure you write it into the template in your strategic growth plan template. And you'll see there's some sections there for you to write it out. And then finally, I'd like you to decide on your strategy for how you will adapt each touch point of your business to reflect that brand strategy. Those are your key actions. Good luck with the next steps.
I really hope you enjoyed this training video. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share with others so they can benefit too. And to access the full e-commerce growth engine course, just click on the link in the description below. Good luck growing your e-commerce business.